we enter probably the most divisive topic amongst all the Sonic fandom. The games.
Oh god, it's already too late.
Whether a given Sonic game is good or bad is a debate that will outlast human civilization. Even outside the classic versus modern divide, there are so many aspects of the games people disagree on. How serious should the story be? Should there be other playable characters? How should the supporting cast be utilized? As for how we're going to be ranking these games, here's the long list. How well does the game maintain the sense of speed without cheap deaths? How good is the story? How well do the gimmicks contribute to the overall gameplay? How well are the characters written, or at least represented? I feel like everyone has their own controversial Sonic opinions. I guess I might as well get mine out of the way first.
I prefer modern Sonic over classic Sonic.
Boss, are you trying to start a flame war? Again?
I'm the fiery Joker. Starting flame wars is what I do. Start the list! So, elephant?
Are you crazy?
Yes, but that's irrelevant.
Anyways, I like the original Sonic the Hedgehog as much as the next guy, but it's far from perfect. One of its main problems is how inconsistent the sense of speed is. Looking at you, Labyrinth Zone. Yes, Sonic games should be more than just hold right to win. With that being said, the whole selling point of nearly every game in this series is rolling around at the speed of sound, not standing around right there on the ground. In general, the levels feel adorned with all kinds of annoying traps and gimmicks. Rather than freshen up the gameplay, they just feel like a distraction. It just goes to show you that the first game you make in a new series will rarely be the best one. More often than not, it's used as a learning experience to refine in the sequels. But Sonic had to start somewhere. As a first game, this is pretty solid. Catchy music, a charismatic main character, decent boss fights. In a time where platformers were a dime a dozen, this managed to stand out. In context, I feel like that should mean something. Ultimately, I view the original Sonic the Hedgehog the same way I view Gen 1 of Pokemon. A flawed but enjoyable game that set the foundation for the franchise that follow it. Am I glad it exists? Oh heck yes. Will I go back and replay it anytime soon? Probably not.
And if you thought that take was spicy, oh, this is just the first sauce.
The Sonic Advance trilogy was the closest we got to 2D Sonic games featured on a Nintendo platform. Good ones anyway. While they're not the originals, they still got the old 2D Sonic essence, plus various characters to play with through the main campaign. Arguably the best one out of all of them is Advance 2. The level designs here are definitely an improvement compared to the first one, since not only does it have fewer sudden spikes of difficulty, but the bosses are also more intuitive to fight. Anything's better than the first game's cheap as hell final boss for sure. While 3 does have more mechanics, 2's handling of the more straightforward gameplay mode made it feel the most concise out of the 3 installments. When it comes to playable characters, 2 is rather credible for its introduction of Cream the Rabbit. Love the pipsqueak or not, she's one of the most broken characters in the series thanks to her flight and Cheese, her pet chow, giving her a ridiculous attack range. Cream's wrath remains unfiltered for at least a couple more games, and honestly, had she not been such a wuss, she could have surpassed Sonic. While it didn't do anything particularly groundbreaking, Advance 2 still gives us a solid package, with good levels and fun boss fights to keep the game interesting as it needs to be. Whether you like a challenge or a good cheesing, there's something here for veterans and newcomers to enjoy. 'Twas a sad time in Sega history. The Dreamcast was on its very last leg before finally being discontinued, and the company was giving up the home console market. But before throwing in the towel, they decided to go out on a high note. From the ashes of their most popular title, the original adventure, comes the final Sonic game made exclusively for the Dreamcast, Adventure 2. If you're already swept up by the city escape level, you're in for the long run. This time around, the story is split in half and follows two parallel narratives, good versus evil. On the side of good, we've of course got Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. In the evil corner, naturally, we've got Eggman, but this time around he's got two new lackeys, introducing the world's most ultimate life form edge joke, Shadow the Hedgehog, and the franchise's very own furry bait, Rouge the Bat. Bet you can tell what fans like the most about her. Yeah, her boots. Lady knows how to rock them high heels. Boobs! Yeah, she's got those too. Man, Lady Manila seems to have a knack for playing fan service characters. Anyways, the overall plot is the classic good versus evil story. Sonic Squad is trying to save the world while Eggman's team is trying to conquer it. Though some may have their own agenda in mind. You get to play both storylines as all 6 characters. Yes, even Eggman.
I mean, I don't know. It's not like this was just a major first for the franchise. I just go, what?
Yeah, after years of being blown up and bashed about by that blue buffoon, Dr. Robotnik can finally get in the driver's seat. Speaking of, our cast is paired off for 3 different types of gameplay. Sonic and Shadow had the fast-paced platforming levels, Tails and Eggman are mechanized shoot-'em-ups, and Knuckles and Rouge follow a more puzzle-based action-adventure style play. As an added bonus, there's a virtual pet simulator side game where you can raise your own chow. Basically, mold a young mind to the path of good or evil. So it goes without saying, there's no shortage of variety gameplay-wise. Oh, wait, before I continue, I want to point out this one scene between Amy and Shadow. Yeah, Amy's in the game too. She doesn't do much. Amy confuses Shadow for Sonic and gives him a hug. Just the death glare he gives her when she does it. Alright, elephant in the room. It may seem blasphemous to put an adventure title this low on the list. There's so much to love about Sonic Adventure 2. The graphics improved from its predecessor, the mass variety of gameplay and playable characters, the soundtrack, the increased stakes, and the amazing characterization. This is arguably Eggman at his best, and Tails shows just how he's matured since the first game. That being said, it isn't without its blemishes. The camera isn't always cooperative, the audio is unbalanced in certain parts, Amy is just there to be there, platforming for Tails and Eggman is super delicate, and the plot can be hard to follow. The fact that it's interlocking 2 parallel stories really doesn't help. However, overlook all that, and you've still got a spectacular title that introduced 2 longtime franchise favorites. Seriously, the fact that Rouge and Shadow keep popping up really shows how strong Sonic Adventure 2's legacy is. And something tells me the ride ain't over yet.
Hey kids, want to see a dead plotline?
Starting with Adventure, the Sonic series started to take on a more serialized approach to storytelling. Unfortunately, this shift in narrative style in the franchise quickly dwindled and only faint remnants remain. This brings us to Sonic Heroes, the place where plotlines went to die. Of course, this is no fault of Heroes, blame 06 for that, but allow me to elaborate. In Sonic Heroes, you have 4 stories happening simultaneously. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are on a quest to stop Eggman from taking over the world, as Team Sonic. Amy is joined by Big the Cat, who is looking for Froggy, and Cream the Rabbit, who is looking for her missing Chow, and these 3 make up Team Rose. Amy herself is looking to track down the love of her life, Sonic. I'm not your boyfriend! Rouge the Bat finds Shadow in suspended animation after everyone presumed he died following the events of Sonic Adventure 2, and he's being guarded by an Eggman robot E123 Omega who holds a grudge against his creator. So the 3 decide to form Team Dark and track down Eggman for answers. Finally, there's Espio, Victor, and Charmy who make up Team Chaotix, a group of private eyes who are doing various tasks for a mysterious benefactor. Now, each team plays relatively the same way. You have the power characters, who are your heavy hitters and able to break down things like stone walls and deal the most damage to enemies. Then there are the fly characters. They drag along the others and can fly short distances and hover. They're also excellent at dealing with flying enemies, since their attack launches their teammates as missiles. Finally, it wouldn't be a Sonic game without the need for speed characters. They don't do anything particularly special, they just go fast. Except for Espio. He's our special little chameleon boy and can turn invisible and stealth past enemies. Across all 4 stories, you discover the truth of what's going on. Metal Sonic has usurped Eggman in a bid to prove he's superior to Sonic. However, that's not the only thing you discover. At the end of Team Dark's route, Rouge and Omega discover a room full of Shadow clones. In the final story, which unlocks after you find all 7 Chaos Emeralds, you fight and defeat Metal Sonic, after which Sonic says he's looking forward to a rematch. Cool story, right? Unfortunately, none of these plot lines are touched again. Metal Sonic gets reprogrammed into a much more obedient Badnik, and Shadow being a robot slash clone slash or the original is revealed in a throwaway line by Eggman during the secret true ending of Shadow the Hedgehog. As for why 06 is to blame, the original plan was for 06 to be a reboot for the series to bring it into the Xbox 360 slash PS3 era. We all know how that turned out. So Unleashed in Colors had to course correct pretty hard, becoming much more lighthearted adventures. So either 06 was successful and the adventure storyline died that way, or we have the timeline we currently live in where 06 was such a failure that anything resembling a mature or dark storyline was abandoned like bad sushi. Really is a shame though. Sonic Heroes is a great game in its own right and planted the seeds for more. Sure, it has the typical issues of modern Sonic, bad camera, and surprising unfair deaths. But the level design is lovely, the music is among the best, and it planted the seeds for more in regards to the story. Imagine a world where Metal Sonic, sick of Eggman holding him back, built a rival machine empire. Mankind will never know the glory of the Metal Legionnaires. Truly a tragedy.
What could be worse than putting the original Sonic the Hedgehog at number 10?
I know! Putting Sonic Adventure 1 above 2! Okay, yeah, let's get the obvious thing out of the way. Big the Cat's fishing stages are less than stellar. Even then, I wouldn't really call them unplayably bad per se, just poorly implemented and out of place in a Sonic game.
Fishing needing to progress the story. I don't know why this is a thing in video games.
With the anthropomorphic cat in the room addressed, the rest of the game is awesome! Maybe it's just me, but I love the overworld. There's just a simple satisfaction to be found in rolling around in the environment. It's so much fun to just waste time in the Mystic Ruins field areas. Oh, and as for the actual levels themselves, they're also great. Sonic stages are just as good as ever, and the other characters are still fun. More importantly, you can actually search for the emerald pieces in Knuckles' stages in any order you want. This makes them so much less frustrating than in the sequel. Seriously, couldn't we have at least gotten it as an upgrade? And while the story isn't the greatest in terms of voice acting, I honestly mostly blame the animation here, I still enjoy it. It's interesting to see everything from multiple perspectives, seeing Tails grow as a character is a joy, and the mystery of chaos is really well built up. And of course, Gamma's ending kills me every time! Ultimately, I prefer the original Sonic Adventure over the sequel due to it being more consistently good. While 2 does reach higher heights in some areas, you have to plow through a fair bit of average at best parts to get to them. There's nothing worse than wanting to replay a game you like and then you remember that part.
Now I promise you guys, I am serious when I say that I generally prefer 3D Sonic. That said, Sonic Rush deserves more love.
With how often the community craves great 2D Sonic games, I'm surprised not more people talk about this one. Despite having 3D graphics and functions on the DS performance limitations, Rush still did the speed of Sonic some real justice. The boost mechanic was first introduced in this game and allows you to get a blast of speed with the push of a button as long as your meter's up. While it started up as a gimmick, it works so well that it became a staple for future Sonic games. And that's not all this game brought in. One of my favorite characters, Blaze the Cat, debuts in this game as well. Her story's good and she's just as fun and fancy to play as Sonic. Albeit you do start out playing as her in much harder stages of the game, so don't expect any punches to be pulled on her part. You gotta appreciate how good the music is too. Again, for DS standards, there are a lot of pleasant sound bites to enjoy, and these music styles would later inspire what we get in Sonic Boom. I know it's not saying much, but diamonds do dazzle in the rough. As much as I wish I could keep hurling praises though, there are some things holding the game back from being as great as it should have been. It does suffer from the 2D Sonic syndrome of throwing you into split-second decisions where you could die in an instant. Add cheap enemy placements and levels, and especially boss fights that go on for longer than they should, and the game can understandably be quite brutal and unfriendly to newcomers. Still, just look at this game. You can't tell me it doesn't at least look like one heck of a good time. Fast-paced, beautiful, and always out to challenge you. If you're a fan of the series and haven't given this game a shot, then my recommendation couldn't be any higher. Sonic has really been all over the place since Sonic Heroes. Like, we get 2 or 3 games in a row that are good, or at least okay, and then we get absolute garbage. Well, I feel that the darkest age of Sonic would be between 2004 and 2008. In those years, we got Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic Chronicles The Dark Brotherhood, Sonic Unleashed, both storybook games, and of course, Sonic 06. Unleashed in particular was a great first step into what Sonic could be in the modern age with the existence of the day stages. Now, if we could only get a game that is just day stages and you go super duper fast. Well, lucky for you, we got that in the one Sonic game people can't stop talking about, Sonic Colors. Released in 2010 for the Wii, this game was Sega's answer to the past decade of poor Sonic games. Taking what they learned from Unleashed, this game is all about speed. The game works by combining 2D and 3D elements and mashing them together. The 3D parts work as an auto runner, only slowing down to attack enemies or doing quick platforming. The 2D parts work like a speedy Mario game, usually to solve some puzzle or maze-like structure to continue. In addition to the normal platforming, there are power-ups in the form of the alien wisps, which Eggman captured to gather some sort of enemy called the Hyper Go-On or something? I honestly stopped listening. He always just seems to go on about it. Ayo! Whatever. Anyways, the different wisps give Sonic different abilities, like slow-moving but floating hover, the block-transforming cube, and the eat-everything in its path frenzy. As for the story, it's not taken too seriously. Eggman creates an amusement park in space to be used publicly for all. The fact that this got foreshadowed in a Newgrounds Flash animation a decade earlier is pretty crazy. Anywho, Sonic and Tails call BS and they go to investigate. What do you know? He's enslaving aliens to brainwash the world. Just typical Eggman. With such a generic plot, most of the dialogue actually makes fun of the previous Sonic game cliches. Sonic did age again in this game, so he's been doing this for like 10 years in canon at this point. He and Tails just don't give a crap anymore. Considering it's an amusement park in space, there aren't that many varied locales. They're just variations of different amusement park attractions. In space! Despite that, this game looks super good. Probably not as good as the PS3 and 360 version of Unleashed, but for a Wii game, the levels are crisp and play well. As for criticisms, the game is pretty short. You can finish it in about 6-ish hours. The Wisps mechanic, while making the game more varied gameplay-wise, is also kind of gimmicky, with some stages having their whole premise around them. Despite those, the game is still super fun and acts as a basis for what future Sonic games should aim for in the future. At least, that was the hope.
Gosh dang it, Sonic Team. Wow, this was pure serendipity.
If I'm being honest, I didn't plan for the third entry to be a third entry title, but hey, some things just work out for the best, especially for what could very well be the very best of Sonic's Genesis days, Sonic 3. And
knock knock his knuckles.
First, a bit of backstory for this one. The second sequel for the OG game was planned for release as one single title, but because of cartridge costs and time constraints, Sega had to release it as 2 kinda short games, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Sonic & Knuckles. Probably make more sense to review them separately, but since they're literally one and the same, I'm discussing them the way Sega intended them to be. After his defeat in Sonic 2, Eggman crash lands on Angel Island, where he meets the newest pawn in his evil scheme, Knuckles the Echidna, arguably the perfect rival for Sonic. He may want to take a number. Robotnik tricks Knuckles into butting heads with Sonic and Tails, ultimately resulting in the epic showdown halfway through. With Knuckles finally realizing Eggman's true colors, he helps our heroes take down the Mad Doctor in one last glorious boss fight. And with that, the era of Sonic on the Genesis comes to a close. The developers hyped the heck out of Sonic 3 and Knuckles as the ultimate Sonic game at the time, and it kind of lived up to the hype. The soundtrack is high action and really emphasizes the epicness of our hero's journey, and the level designs improved enormously, meaning to feel a lot larger and balanced. Oh, also, one thankful move they introduced this time around, the Insta-Shield. By spin jumping in mid-air, Sonic can produce a mini shield good for protecting himself and destroying oncoming enemies and projectiles, making his offense just as good as his defense. Of course, Sonic isn't the only one in the spotlight this time, and they do the multiple characters thing really well here. Each player's gameplay is unique. Sonic's a speed demon, Tails can fly and swim, and Knuckles can glide and climb, adding a much needed balance to both speed and platforming. Speaking of Knuckles, he's a welcomed addition to the team, and his story is amazing. So amazing it could make a pretty awesome movie. But nah, who'd want to see that? Anyways, playing as him is definitely a lot of fun. almost as much fun as it is memeing him. I don't know if it needs to be said, but the Genesis era of Sonic went out on a high note with this swan song. It added more to what was already great about the classic saga and brought everything to a full circle. Think about it. Sonic 1 was the blue hedgehog on his own, Sonic 2 gives him a sidekick, the Sonic CD is just kind of there in the middle, and Sonic 3 brings the holy trio together at last.
What am I, chopped liver? Shut up! Ow! Stop chopping my liver!
An iconic and fitting end to Sonic's original roots. Well, time to delist all the classic titles off of Steam and re-release them as a remaster again.
For a guaranteed rating smash, dig it up out of the trash, come on, just rebuild it.
You know, I love the 3D stages of Sonic Colors, but I also love the 2D stages of Sonic Rush. ¿Por qué no los dos?
We've gone through so many good Sonic games at this point, it isn't surprising to see the culmination of them here in Sonic Generations, the game to celebrate Sonic's 20th anniversary. Largely considered to be the last good 3D Sonic game, Sonic Generations takes stages from previous Sonic games and reworks them into modern masterpieces. Remember how many times you died in the chemical sections of Chemical Plant Zone? Well, now you can do that in 3D. Remember getting chased by a giant truck in City Escape? Well, now you can do that in 2D. You spend the game switching between modern and classic Sonic, switching between the 3D and 2D versions of each stage. How did this happen? Well, everyone was celebrating Sonic's 20th birthday, and then time shenanigans happened from Eggman, and now there are two Sonics. It's a very complicated scenario that requires years of discussion to fully comprehend, so let's just leave it like that and move on. As mentioned, the 3D sections play very similar to Sonic Colors or the Day stages from Unleashed, using a combination of auto-running and side-scrolling platforming. The 2D stages use a blend of those side-scrolling platforming segments, but fleshes them out to make them more similar to classic Sonic. Sonic 4 or Rush would be the best comparisons for those. With each world using a popular stage from older games, you can expect some older bosses to come back too. These bosses use elements from Sonic Colors and Sonic 4 to make them come alive in new and unique ways. Awesome bosses like Perfect Chaos or the Death Egg Robot get a new coat of paint, and it doesn't detract from the original boss fight at all. Even bosses that weren't as fun in their original games are made more fun here, like the Egg Dragoon or even Silver the Hedgehog of all fights. Alright, let's get to the negative stuff. My biggest issue is that this game is even shorter than Colors, maybe taking about 3 to 4 hours to beat if you do none of the side content. Also, the story is bare bones. Classic characters come back, but they barely say anything and just cheer you on during the final boss. And speaking of the final boss, I will admit this fight is pretty boring. You can sum it up in two phrases: homing shot and switch characters to chase after Eggman. Even Sonic Forces had a better final fight. Forces! Those are really just nitpicks though. With everything else great about the game, it's hard pressed to find a Sonic game better than it. No wonder this game was bred for modding once it came out on PC. The game takes everything good from the best Sonic games before it and makes it better. As for number one though, I think you guys can figure out what it is by now. Sonic Unleashed, half decent game, half poor man's beat 'em up. Still, not without its merits. Sonic 4, why do people hate this game? Sonic CD, did a lot for the franchise, but wasn't amazing on its own. Sonic Battle, an actually okay fighting game, or an eerie peek at Sonic's future in the Smash franchise. Sonic 2, almost made the list. And here we are, our number one Sonic title for this list, and arguably the greatest game in the whole franchise is a fan game not developed by Sonic Team. A little context for those who don't know, Sonic Mania is a title developed by a team of major Sonic fans, including Christian Taxman Whitehead, who created ports of some of the earlier Sonic games to tie in with the Blue Hedgehog's 25th anniversary. It was a 2D side-scroller that brought Sonic back to his roots as an homage to the original Genesis games. You know, before Sega did that for like the umpteenth time. It featured 12 levels, several of which are loving remixes of classic zones from the original titles, and had 3 playable characters: Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. There's more! As usual, each one gets their own special abilities. Sonic has his drop dash, Tails has flying and swimming, and Knuckles is still a glider and a climber. It all feels perfectly balanced like a great Sonic game should, and even better when mixed with the iconic imagery and music that pulls you back to the early 90s. Now you may be wondering, why am I giving so much praise to a fan game? Because the project was actually proposed to Sega itself, who greenlit and published it for the world to enjoy. And enjoy they did, because it received massive praise for bringing light to what was essentially a rut for the Dear Blue Hedgehog. Well, that doesn't seem fair. Sure, they've had a lot of misses like the Sonic Boom games, or Sonic Lost World, or Sonic... Ooh...
Yeah, Sonic needed Mania.
Okay, I'm not here to tear Sega to shreds. I do want to praise them for greenlighting this game. There was obviously a lot of love crammed into everything from the graphics to the gameplay to the music, all put together by a team that loves our little blue hedgehog to pieces and wanted to give him a proper tribute for a major milestone. If there's anything to critique about Mania, it's probably how the game isn't exactly original. My counter argument is, so what? It's not trying to be original. It's supposed to be a love letter to an iconic gaming franchise, and I'm sure many of us will agree it did that in spades.
I'm Josh Scorcher, and I wanted to thank all of you for putting up with my polarizing opinions about Sonic. I like some things that some people hate, and I hate some things that some people like, and you know what? That's okay. I think we can all agree that Sonic Chronicles Dark Brotherhood sucks. Well, that's my cue. Time to go into hiding for a month. Bye!
Hey everyone, this is Josh. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share the video around. Please check out my other social media like my Twitter, Twitch, and Tumblr. Check out my other channels such as Joshua Burner for reactions and other stuff, Dragon Fighter Gaming for tabletop, and Bob Equestria for cartoons. Consider checking below the video and donating to my Patreon, Streamlabs for my merchandise, or becoming a YouTube member. Thanks for watching.